Hey everyone. So before Metroid Prime 4 Beyond comes out here in December, it's really coming up here, I would like to get out my wish list for what I would like to see in the game. And I'm going to warn you, it's not a very realistic list, but I think you might kind of enjoy it and you might kind of see where I'm coming from a little bit, or at least know what kind of player I am. I'd like to go ahead and get something out of the way that I think I would like to see, and I'm kind of confused why it didn't happen back in June or even April. After the Nintendo Switch 2, the very first major direct for it, or in June when the system actually came out. But I'd like to see in Metroid Prime Remastered, so not in Prime 4. I'd like to see mouse controls come to that game. I don't know why they didn't add those. Like I said, back in April when they showed more of Prime 4 with the mouse controls, or why they didn't do it at the launch of the Switch 2. So there's still time for that, and especially if Metroid Prime 2 and Prime 3 drop sometime before Prime 4 comes out, that would be a good opportunity to drop the mouse controls for Prime 1 as well. I mean, and they could do it anytime after, of course, but just why not give it to us now, just so we can get a feel for it. And so I'd also like to say, I think I would really like to try those mouse controls, because I tried the tank controls in Remastered, because that's how I played originally on GameCube. I played when it launched, and so I'm very used to that. It's super weird to try playing like dual stick or even like motion controls, the pointer controls in Prime 3. I'm not a fan of those. They work fine, but it's just you don't have enough buttons to do what you want, and you get a certain feel for the tank controls in Metroid Prime 1 that you can just do cool things like in the speedrunning and with different exploits and sequence breaks and things like that. I'm really a fan of those controls, and I'm a fan of version 1.0, where you can do some of the different sequence breaks a lot easier, if not just they're not patched out at all, because it's the first version, of course. And when you try the tank controls in Remastered, they're actually very floaty, because they're kind of like retrofitted into the Prime Trilogy version, which had pointer controls, which makes it very difficult to make it feel the same. The new remastered tank controls are very floaty, and it's not good when you're used to the steady, really precise movement of the original game. But anyway, with that, that's like my honorable mention. Let's get to actually Metroid Prime 4 and what I'd like to see in that game. Here, first up on my unrealistic list of things I'd like to see in Prime 4, since I was just talking about Prime 1 and Remastered no less, we don't have 2 and 3, and we don't know if they're going to come out before 4 does, so I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool if the story in Metroid Prime 4 was a direct sequel to Prime 1, but kind of if Prime 2 and 3 didn't happen. So before the story retcons in the later games, because Prime 1 had a bit of a different story before Prime 3 came out anyway. If anybody didn't know that, it got kind of retconned in the Prime Trilogy. It's nothing major, but it kind of fits in the planet phase and all that, and I thought that was a weird storyline, so I thought it would be cool if this would kind of retcon that retcon, and we could see Prime 4 be its own new, it's kind of a new branch. I don't want it to get too complicated like Zelda or something, but it would just be a cool new story direction, I think, so that we don't have to worry about planet phase for those of us who didn't like that. And since we're dealing with time travel this time, and traveling across space. I mean, it could either just ignore it altogether, or like I said, it could retcon it and, in my opinion, have the potential to make it better. I know it wouldn't necessarily be better, but at least there's potential there. So Metroid Prime 4 being a direct sequel to Prime 1, skipping 2 and 3. And now again, when I'm saying that out loud, it's like, well, why would you call it Metroid Prime 4 then? Why wouldn't it be Metroid Prime 2 Redo? I know, but let's not worry about that. Let's just move on to my next wishlisted thing I would like to see in Prime 4. I would love to see a speedrun timer, a speedrun mode for Prime 4, where you can actually track your time on screen, just like you're watching a speedrun online, right? So you could you could skip cutscenes, just have that turned off from the beginning, and if you still wanted to watch them, then the timer would just simply be paused during those. And you can have full features. You can have your list of your sequential events, and you can have your best times in between each item you collect or in between each boss you fight. You could even customize it, what you want to see, and you could do you wouldn't have to do a full run all at once. Of course, you could do it with save stations and all of that. I just think it'd just be cool to be able to compete against yourself, right? I mean, I don't know if they could do leaderboards and stuff. I suppose they could. That wouldn't be that difficult, except for cheaters, of course. But we always have that. Yeah, I think that would be really awesome. Just built in from the beginning speedrun tools to be able to just record our times just throughout the game and not just get that in-game time at the very end. To kind of tie in with the speedrunning, it's a little bit of a tie-in. It's loosely. You could still do speedruns in it, but it would just look a little different. But I'd love to see this. I'd like this even more than a speedrun. A randomizer. So just completely random. Maybe have some parameters you can change, but at a minimum just swapping item locations if the world is designed around that. And of course you'd have certain limitations where certain items couldn't be in certain places or you couldn't progress in the game. But that would just add the most replay value to the game, especially for people who don't like something like playing fast. They just like exploring. It would really just prolong the life of the game, I feel like, and especially if we had seeds you could share, and if they made that really simple and easy to do, then oh wow, we could really extend the life and have a great community built around that. And I think that would just be an amazing, I mean, it would introduce a lot of people to it. You could get a bigger community for the past games with Prime Hack and with randomizers. And because let me tell you, I've played Metroid Prime randomized, and it just, yeah, you could do that forever. Now, I haven't tried Prime 2 in that way. A little bit more complex, as far as I can tell, because it has to randomize doors and stuff too. But yeah, that would be very interesting in a mainline game and an official release, and I think the game and the community would really benefit from that. Okay, the last two things on my wish list, my super unrealistic wish list, these are probably the least likely to happen, and it kind of has created a little bit of tension with the fans and the developers a little bit, I feel like. So first, of course, intentional sequence breaks. I don't know why they have a hard time with this one. It feels like in the past games they would patch stuff out. These not even easy sequence breaks, like the most famous one probably in Prime 1, when you can get the space jump boots right after you land on Talon 4. That got patched out after version 1.0, and it's like, why? It's not even easy to do. That's such a weird fix. But I would like sequence breaks that are intentional, but I would like them minimally telegraphed. So I'd like to, it's just those things that you have to be really creative to think of it, or to make it tie into my next thing on my wish list, the last thing on my wish list, things that you might need to glitch or kind of exploit to do. So with that said, my last point is leave the cool glitches in the game alone. If they aren't a huge risk of deleting your save file or killing your run in some way, then don't fix them. I think that would be amazing, and everyone would be so happy. These games are just so fun to mess around in. That's probably one of the biggest reasons that Prime 1 is my favorite in the series and my favorite game ever. It's just so fun to mess around in, which is so weird because it's not like it's a big sandbox game. It wasn't designed that way. It just is so fun to find weird glitches and weird exploits and just weird platforms you can land on and jump around and get around different terrain differently that you weren't really intended to, and there's just lots of secrets and things to see. And it was just really in line with Super Metroid. It followed up Super Metroid, and I feel like a lot of stuff in that game wasn't intended, like the mock ball, which that's super fun to pull off. But just think, if they had patched that out after that game came, then that would have we never would have had a speedrun community, it feels like. But so yeah, I think that should do it. That's my list. Hey, I did my video a little bit different this time. This is more free form. I'm just talking into the mic. I just have my list written down, and I'm kind of sharing my thoughts as they come to me. So let me know if this style works well. I really appreciate it. So, what do you think of my list? Do you like it? Do you disagree with anything? Let me know in a comment. Like the video to let me know how I'm doing, and I hope and pray God blesses you today. Thanks for watching.